Welcome back. Our primary task in this video is to take a look at how to create a mask in Flash and some of the effects that we can get from that. So let me go ahead and play this for you and let you see. This isn't the exact one we're going to build today, but it uses the same features. Alright, so let's take a look. So there's the text, and you can see that it disappears, and then it has some different effects where things seem to disappear and then be covered up and reappear. So that's all by using what's known as a mask. Alright, so here we've got our three layers that we left off with last time, and I'll just rearrange this so that it actually says the words in the same order. So we've got kids on campus, and right now, of course, we're seeing everybody and they're on top of each other. So what we're going to do is, thinking ahead down the road, what I'd like to have happen is that each of the words has its own chance to be on center stage, apply a mask to it, and then we'll have it leave, and then the next word will get its chance. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and shrink down how my timeline is displayed. So right now I've got about 58, 59 frames I can see. I'm going to shrink it down to tiny so I can see some more. And of course, if you've got a bigger monitor, you may have options for more. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my guys and kind of distribute them to different parts in time. So I don't want all of them to be on stage at the same starting point. I want to have one at a time. Okay. Another thing I can take advantage of here is to say, well, let's go ahead and make sure things are lining up. Okay. Now I've got the little checkbox for align to stage because typically when I'm trying to center something, I'm thinking of it being aligned to the entire stage. So I'm going to go ahead and center it that way and center it that way. So it's right smack dab in the middle of my screen. Okay. And then when I'm done, I can close that back up. And that was this little guy here. Okay. The align tab. Alright, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to create a brand new layer because we have these, our symbols all set ready to use, but the thing we're focusing on this time around is what's called a mask. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and call this a mask layer. Alright, and it's not truly, just yet, it's not truly a mask. I have to do another step by clicking on it in a minute, but I'm going to go ahead and hide these guys and lock them, and I'm going to go ahead and build something that I'm going to have serve as the mask. Okay, so in this case I think I'm going to stick with a rectangle, and it's going to allow me to draw this shape. I think I'll just choose let's see, no stroke, and maybe I'll use a black box. Alright, so I can use whatever I want for the mask, and this is where you can get some pretty interesting effects, because if you spend a little time with adjusting your mask, then you can really have some pretty impressive impact on things. Okay, so I have drawn this black rectangle, and I want to do a little small bit of editing here, so I'm going to select it and then go ahead and do Control B, which, if you recall from the last video, breaks it up into an actual shape. And from there I can do some minor tweaks and edits here, so I think I'll just kind of stretch it a little here and there, and have a little kind of a swooshy effect on it, and maybe do a similar kind of swooshy on the other side. Okay, so basically just a little tweaking to the thing that I'm eventually going to use as my mask. You could see you've got a lot of flexibility with playing with the thing, and you can do what you want to before you actually turn it into your mask. Okay. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and say this is fine now. I'm going to convert this to a symbol, which with the keyboard shortcut is F8, and I'll call this a black mask. Okay. And I'll leave the other stuff alone. Alright, so right now then, this is just going to be a blob on the screen, and that's not so impressive. But when I turn it into a mask, it's going to become basically a window to see through, to see items on the stage. Okay, so I won't actually see this mask item. I'll see what would be behind it. Okay, so if you recall, when we have this kind of setup, um, a layer on top kind of blocks the others. So right now you can see a little bit of the words kids here, and a lot of it is blocked out by my mask. So when I actually turn this into a mask, I'll see only the portion that would be revealed if the black section were actually a window. Okay, and I would not see these guys because the mask is letting us see through to the stage. Okay, so let's try that out and see what it looks like. So I'm going to right click, and it's at the bottom. It's a little bit off the screen, but it's just a little bit past, and I choose mask. Okay, so a couple things you'll notice is then straight away here, the symbol changed and it popped kids over to being on the same or below the word mask. So it's now applying the mask to kids. You can notice that right now it's not automatically applying these guys or applying the mask to these guys because they're still off on their own. So we'll take care of that when we get there. Alright, so what do I want to have happen? Well, right now the word kids only appears for that short little bit of time. So I'll go ahead and add some frames with F5 out here. So it's just going to be there so I can see it. And that's not very interesting, right? I've just got the words kids flashing on and off, and I really didn't need a mask to do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change this and unlock my mask so I can change the effect of the mask. Okay. And something kind of common to do with masks is to have them start kind of in a small area and then get bigger as time goes on. Okay, so I'm going to grab that and maybe have it start on just the eye of kids, and then by the time it gets over here at F6 to add a keyframe, I'll want it to get bigger, and I might even rotate this a little bit so it covers kids. And then I'll right click in here and create a tween. Okay, so let's kind of try this out and see what it looks like when I actually play this. Alright, so we can see a little bit happening with these guys because they exist just for a split second, but they're they're not being affected by the mask right now. So let's see if we can change that up a little bit. But so far, so good. We've got the piece where we have kids. Let me go ahead and lock this so you see really how it looks. So as I scroll across, as I scrub here, I'm seeing kids revealed. Okay, and I can do that from starting from a small point. I can have it come from one side and go to the other. Lots of different choices. So I think for the next one, we'll try maybe a side view. And do things a little differently. Okay, so we've got kids is being affected by the mask. Let me go ahead and drag on, and you'll see how that little dot appears. See that little line? That means I'm dragging it to be controlled by the mask, and you can see clearly that the icon changed too. Alright, so and within here, if I wanted to change the order, just like before, I can drag and reorder my layers there. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at how to do a different kind of effect with the mask for on, and then we'll leave the last one for you as a little bit of practice time to work on campus. Okay, so let me go ahead and make a keyframe here. So all of my layers are currently locked, and as long as my mask layer is locked, I'm actually seeing how it's affecting things. But if I want to be able to change it, then I need to unlock that. So I'll unlock the mask and I'll unlock kids and let us see it for a second. Okay, and if you recall, then the word on was up there. So I can have a couple of things. I could have a combination of on moving, or I can just apply the mask. So since we're focusing on the mask this time, I think that's what we'll do. So temporarily, I'm going to move my mask out of the way. I'll open up the align panel and do the same thing for the word on. So it's right smack dab in the center. And then maybe this time I'll use my mask a little differently. I'll maybe have it come up from the bottom. So on is going to be sitting there, and it's going to be slowly revealed as this comes up. Okay, so I'll go over here. Notice again that right now the word on is only going to be there for a short time, so I'll add on some more frames for that. Go to where I want it to exist and hit F5. Alright, so on is now covered and it's going to be there. And back on my mask layer, I'm going to add a new keyframe with F6. And by that time, I want it to have covered up the word on. Okay, so that covers up most of it. Right click in between the two areas on the mask layer and hit Create Classic Tween. And let's see how that would look if I lock that back again. And lock this one too. So let's hit Enter on the keyboard and see as it scrubs. There you have it. So we get a little reveal of on as well. Okay, so just to kind of hit the main ideas, you can have anything you want, any shape to be a mask after converting it to a symbol if you're going to animate it. And then notice that the icon here helps us realize that the pieces underneath, if they are connected to the mask, they'll have a very similar thing with the blue and black pattern. And if they aren't connected to the mask, then they'll just be a regular layer like we've seen before. Okay, so have a little fun playing with that.